Backwoods horror is built on whispered stories, hesitant warnings, and old rituals. And the knowledge that there are some places, some secluded places, that you should not wander. Many of my stories are what could be considered Southern Gothic, or what I like to call backwoods horror stories. And it makes sense because I grew up spending a lot of time in the woods. I definitely have wandered into places that felt like the place itself wanted me to get lost. Joining me to discuss this beloved subgenre of horror is my friend Aaron Conaway. He's the author of the Timberhaven books and the Michael Gideon Collection. I think this is going to be a real fun one. Aaron, this is a return of sorts for you to the Cullenoscopy because you participated in one of the shorts I did to run in between major episodes. Have you been perfecting your Reverend voice since that time?
You know what? I have not. You shot me out the gate, so I didn't figure there was any point.
Well, I realized after we recorded it that I make up things he said. He didn't say.
You were close.
Yeah, I was close, but a little off. But that's that's fine. So we're going to talk today about a subgenre that's near and dear to my heart, and that is backwoods horror. So this was actually your suggestion. I think you suggested this as a topic.
I did.
So what is it that draws you to this to backwoods horror?
I mean, I had no chance. Like I grew up in Missouri. My dad and his people are from Ohio, so all their Appalachian stories with Sasquatch and smoke wolves and bottle trees. My mom's people are from the Pacific Northwest, so with Sasquatch there too, shapeshifters, thunderbirds. I never had a chance.
Yeah, I think where I grew up, I grew up in North Carolina, so we had a lot of weird stories. And then we moved to Missouri, and I had a lot of, right in the middle of deep in the Ozarks of Missouri. So I had a lot more weird stories and weird happenings. So yeah, I didn't have a chance either. It was going to be baked into to what I know and what I do. So, what do you think sets it apart? What makes backwoods a great subgenre?
So what's wild is in looking up, because I wanted to make sure of my stuff to talk about here that I wasn't forgetting a big backwoods horror thing, and it's a broader subgenre than I like. They include a lot of things I don't necessarily include, but because Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and that kind of stuff, I get it. I mean, I get how it would fit, but when I think backwoods horror, I've got basically 3 criteria for me that it all falls under that fear of the unknown, and basically there's got to be an older world involved that exists long before us. It's got its own set of rules that, try as we may, we can't hide in civilization from. And basically the folklore involved around those rules. And then if there's a monster on top of that, I'm good. That's perfection.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, to me it's a very regional thing. I feel like I think the region that the story's set in has to be as much of a character as any of the people in the story.
The players, yeah,
the players. And yeah, there's a sense of something older. I like that the way you put it. There's a sense of something older out there, something beyond us that's been there a long time. To me, there's also a sense of alienness. There's a sense of strangeness, and I know. Look, you live in the big city now, and do you ever visit your old stomping grounds?
Oh, sure.
Do you feel weird?
Do you feel
Well,
weird when you go back?
what's wild is, so, growing up, there's not a hunter, a fisher, a hiker, that I know that live as they might in the woods doing what they love. We were all camped out all the time. There are still stretches of pieces of woods or pieces of, field, basically just wild, that feels off. Like there's just something about it, even though I've moved away and I'm a grown ass man, like it just feels off. I don't have any story involved. There's no like haunted thing. It's just a weird spot. And so yeah, I can go back now to those places. Still feels off.
I was thinking about this when I was preparing for this episode, and I remember going back home a few times, and I've been to a lot of places, and big cities. I don't, but I'm telling you right now, you can go out in the woods somewhere in some of these places where my parents lived there at the end of their life and stuff. Those were dangerous spots. If you weren't careful and you didn't handle yourself the right way or go the right places, they were. I remember feeling, oh, this is actual danger here. This is a place someone could get hurt and hurt bad if they're not careful. And I think that always that plays into it. And I think people don't. I mean, look, there have been plenty of movies and stories about people who get into that very situation where they get into something they can't handle because they underestimate uh, those country folk. But but uh, but yeah. So uh, I did not put this on my list of recommendations because I feel like it's a gimme. So I'm going to ask you though, why is Pumpkinhead the perfect backwoods horror movie?
I also didn't include it on a list because I figured, yeah, that's there's a few things that I knew it's on, but it trips both of our triggers, so it wasn't worth, like, I was gonna try to dodge those. Pumpkinhead, for me, Pumpkinhead, it fits that criteria, like that I talked about earlier. Like it's the perfect example of backwoods horror. It's got folklore, rules of an older world hidden away that society can't survive, and it has a fantastic monster.
Yeah, maybe the one of the best monsters film. The thing is, Pumpkinhead's design in that first movie was so good, thanks in huge part to Stan Winston, obviously, that they've been unable to duplicate it in any of the following movies. The creature just doesn't look right in those other movies because it was so good. And the sound design of the movie was great because every time Pumpkinhead moved, there was like this sound like locusts or something whispering in the back, and the color schemes, the lighting. Yeah, the movie was solid, and all based on a poem. Do you know the poem?
I know there's a poem. I don't know the poem.
They were.
You seem to.
I used to. I don't think I could
Okay.
do it now. I used to be able to recite the poem, and I feel like if I did it now, I would really botch it. It's by Ed Justin, just to give credit where credit's due, and that's what inspired that whole movie. And they just have the one little bit where the kids
Right.
recite the poem to terrorize this other kid. I'll think maybe I'll link to it, but yeah, the poem's pretty awesome. Yeah, I used to know it, but I would botch it so badly now. I'm not gonna give that. I'm not gonna give anyone that pleasure. So, um, so we don't include Pumpkinhead, but we've got some recommendations that we could point some people to for some backwoods if they want to get their backwoods horror on. So, you want to start us off with one?
I can, sure. And then I've also, once we're done, I've got a couple I don't want to talk about yet in case you've talked about them.
All right.
That once we're done, I want to see where you land.
Okay.
But so yeah, I'll kick it off with so this one might be this one I might get mocked for this one. Pun very much intended.
I would never mock you.
Not you necessarily, but first of all, yes, you would. Second of all, somebody watching this might. But
All right.
Curse of the Blair Witch. And I'm taking these, by the way, in order of newness. Like my number one is going to be the thing that I've loved the longest. But yeah, the mockumentary Curse of the Blair Witch I enjoyed far more than the movie. Was fine, but I can't do the shaky camera thing, so it was rough. The marketing on that was brilliant. All the acclaim it got, it earned. But Curse of the Blair Witch I actually found creepy.
So that was the documentary that they did that
Right.
aired like on Sci-Fi Channel or something before the movie was released.
Yep, same writer and director. Like both the writer and the director of Blair Witch directed it. But yeah, it's basically just a bunch of shorts tied together to make this mockumentary of the people that went missing with Blair Witch Project.
And you can get that if you have like the Blu-ray. I think they have it as on the extra features. I will tell you that I thought it was scary as hell when I first saw it, that documentary. And I remember watching it. I'm like, wait a minute, is this nonsense? Did this stuff really happen? And the only tip at the end that it says filmed in Florida or something like that. There's like a little thing at the end that says this was filmed in Florida, not in Maryland or whatever. But yeah, I thought it was really, really well done as a documentary. I remember going to see the Blair Witch, which I think is great. And there was a couple of old women in line behind me buying tickets, and they were talking about it and saying, I think this is based on a true story. And just talking about how it was a true, that it was real because they marketed it so well to be that. I forgot that it was called Curse of the Blair Witch. I just always call it the Blair Witch documentary. But yeah, okay, Curse. Because at first I thought you were talking about one of the sequels. Maybe.
No. Curse of the Blair Witch. And whatever they paid the woman that narrated that thing, they needed more money for her because that's the strongest selling point for that. That's her voice is what creeps me out.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I have watched it, and I probably need to revisit it. My kid hasn't watched Blair Witch. Maybe he'd be interested in like the documentary and then watching Blair Witch.
There you go.
All right, that's a good pick. So my first pick is a book that I don't know if you can get it anymore. It's kind of hard to find probably, but I couldn't not consider this book. So H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror is a great story of backwoods horror. I mean, that's a hillbilly who is the son of a elder god thing, and it's a great. It's a good representation of that genre because the region plays such a big part in it. Chaosium, who is the publisher of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, in the I guess late 90s, maybe mid to late 90s, started publishing collections of fiction. Most of them were edited by Robert M. Price. The collections featured a lot of his short stories, but they did one called the Dunwich Cycle, which of course had H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror in it, but then it had a bunch of Arthur Machen stories, and it had August Derleth stories, and then stories by other writers all set in and around Dunwich. So it really kind of brought in it really kind of brought that area to life, and it was cool to see other writers writing about it.
And that's not something that's easy to find.
I think it's probably difficult to find now. I don't know that those Chaosium did maybe 25, 30 of these collections. And they're all pretty awesome. But I think they're probably out of print now. I'll put links to where it is because what you could do is you can look up the table of contents and see the stories that they included. I'm sure those are down in other places. But yeah, the Dunwich Cycle, any of those old Chaosium trades, if you can ever find them, probably at a used bookstore or something, they're well worth grabbing.
I vaguely remember the name of the Chaosium, but did they riff on Lovecraft, like solely Lovecraft, or did they riff on all kinds of things?
So Chaosium published, their big hit was Call of Cthulhu, which took all the different Lovecraft lore and Lovecraft circle lore and built in this game system. And it's probably one of my favorite role playing games of all time. They also did games for they did an Elric game. They did a game called Rune Quest. So they did other games as well, but Call of Cthulhu was their big one that they're still publishing Call of Cthulhu stuff today. But yeah, that line of fiction was really cool.
Well, let's see. My next entry is, so I'm double dipping here, but the adaptation of it's really good too.
All right.
Stephen King's short story The Raft from Skeleton Crew, which Creepshow 2 adapted beautifully. Yeah. But that, in a nutshell, is a very simple backwoods horror to me. Like, they go to swim on this lake, and terror is unveiled.
And they never explain that thing in the story, right? It's never explained, which is awesome.
Yep, yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah, it's and that's, I think, I don't want people to miss. I think a lot of people miss that, is just don't explain it. It's scarier not knowing what this splotch in the water is.
Right.
That collection's a great collection of stories anyway. But yeah, you're right. It's a story of isolation. It's a story of things that is far older.
Well, yeah, and that's what was brilliant, is that, particularly in the short story, they touch on it a little bit in the movie, but in the short story, yeah, there's just weird colors and things that just kind of entrance and speak to you, but it's not really. It's basically Venus flytrapping you, like it's going to eat you.
Yeah, it's good. The story's great. I really like the adaptation in Creepshow 2 as well. I think is really solid. Yeah, good pick. My next one, I'll double dip too then, since you did. I don't have mine aren't in order of anything really. But my next one then is a double dip, because there's a film adaptation and then there's a novel, and that is The Ritual. The novel was 2011 by Adam Neville, and then the movie came out maybe in 2018, 2017. Have you seen this movie?
No, both the book and the movie are on my radar.
So yeah, the movie is basically, the idea behind it is a group of 4 friends, after this tragic accident, decide to go on a hike in Sweden, deep into the woods, and they start discovering, weird totems and strange houses, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and weirder things keep happening to them, until they stumble into something far, far older than they are expecting. And it's really, since you haven't seen it, I won't spoil anything else, but you definitely need to check it out. The book's good. I really like the movie a lot. So it's real well done. And interestingly enough, so Adam Neville also did a book. I think it's the same title, but the movie is called No One Gets Out of Here Alive. And after you watch The Ritual, watch No One Gets Out of Here Alive, because there's some connected mythology there. That's nice. Pretty awesome.
All right.
And they reference them in there. But yeah, it's great. And as I was talking about it, to some degree, it has some similarities to The Descent, which also is kind of a rural horror movie. I mean, they're out in the woods. Yes, they go down into the caves, which I also like that movie a great deal.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't have to be woods. I prefer the woods, but a cave makes sense too. Just anything out of and away from society.
Yeah. Look, trees are scary. Trees are scary.
It's frightening.
Yes. Especially right around here in this neighborhood, we had a bad storm a week or 2 ago, and giant trees are just coming down everywhere. It's trees want to hurt you. I'm just telling you, they want to hurt you.
My number 3 is, I almost didn't put it because much like Pumpkinhead, it's a gimme, but I'm going to anyway. Evil Dead 2, like I don't what to say about the flick that hasn't already been said. It's another perfect summer, like the epitome, as you said earlier, with Pumpkinhead. It's another one that is to me of
Yeah,
backwards horror.
it's really good. I mean, I like all those Evil Dead movies. I mean, I like I like the original. I think I saw Evil Dead 2 first before I saw the original one. So,
I did too,
um,
which is why it always ranks just a little higher than, because I agree they're all great, but I love, while I love Army of Darkness, I don't think backwoods horror when I think Army of
no,
Darkness.
that's something else. That's a different subgenre. That's medieval horror.
Medieval,
Um, uh, yeah, no, Evil Dead 2 is great. It has it's so it's such a colorful movie too, which is really bizarre because it's so bright and colorful, and of course the Sam Raimi camera angles and the zooming is awesome. Um, it's a good pick, and it's a movie. Yes, most everyone has probably that's watching this has seen it, but go see it again. Go watch it again. It's it's worth watching. Um, yeah, super. And it's what was weird about it was it was so funny in parts, but then also so sort of creepy, which I really
right?
like.
Oh yeah, and I mean, yeah, I would even put, I mean, for the less creepy factor, I actually liked 2013's like remake.
Oh, I did too. Yeah.
I actually found it very creepy, particularly her in the bait. But anyway, whole other movie,
No,
but
I
very
think
good.
that I think the was that 2013. It's that old.
I'm fairly certain
All right.
2013.
Wow. Yeah. No, I liked it too, and I liked. I thought it was some of the stuff they did in that movie was real clever because they have a real good reason to go out to this isolated cabin
Well,
together
and not leave. Like
and
the
not
reason
leave.
that they
Yeah,
don't leave is brilliant.
yeah. That they had some. That was neat. Um, and yeah, I like the most recent Evil Dead movie too quite a bit. I like them all. I think
Yeah,
they all do some really cool stuff.
agreed.
All right. All right. So my next one is I have a couple of novels on my list here. The first one is from 2004. It's by Tom Piccirilli, the late Tom Piccirilli, and it is A Choir of Ill Children. Which, first
Dope
of all,
name.
what a great title,
Yeah,
right?
that is.
Um, so, A Choir of Ill Children is really Southern Gothic-y. Like an old house. It's in this old decaying town called Kingdom Come. Uh, and the town has a sawmill that's like their source of income. And the owner of the sawmill has three brothers. He's kind of inherited the sawmill. He has three brothers who are conjoined. They have separate bodies, but they are conjoined at the head, and they share a brain. And and beyond that, it has there's ghosts and there's curses and there's murder and there's granny witches, which that's also really I love that term, granny witches out in the woods. And if you haven't read, it's really good. It's a real slim novel. It's not real thick, but it's sort of dense. It's told like in a series of short stories, so it's real dense, and it's just so well written. And it goes really into some bizarre places with all that, with all the the different elements of like Southern horror all mashed into one.
Right. No, yeah, I put it down to look up after we're done here. That the title alone makes me want to look more into it.
Yeah, the title. When I bought it first, when I first got it, it was a paperback and had like this dragonfly on the cover, and it was just really cool looking. But there have been multiple editions, so I think it's pretty easy to grab still.
All right, my next is Manly Wade Wellman. Pretty much any of his John the Balladeer, Silver John stuff, but mostly. So if I were pointing people to it, it would be for the novel The Lost and Lurking, The collection, though, Who Fears the Devil, is my probably favorite piece of Wellman's work regarding Silver John. But I mean, it's everything we've talked about. Like, it's any creature from Appalachian, like, folklore, this guy's got to go contend with as he's wandering around the woods, and his only, weapon is his silver string guitar. And I mean, it leans a little, it's from in the 60s, and it leans a little Christianity, and that's, I mean, it's the most used for horror, like the most, what am I trying to say, to combat these evils, like it's the one that's used the most. So that's a little boring as far as, like, if you were to read it now. But
Right.
I mean, basically his whole shtick was, this is Johnny Cash fighting evil in the woods. And I was sold.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't put it on my list. It didn't even dawn on me until you mentioned it to put it on my list, because I love that character and love that I love those books. Uh, I've 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 long wanted to create my own version of that character, like the Wanderer, who who goes through the hills solving these supernatural mysteries. The era of that may be over for a little bit, but he was sort of, he was every bit. His stories were, there were Conan stories and there were Solomon Kane stories, and then there's John the Balladeer. And they were that kind of those were that kind of wandering hero stories that are really cool.
I definitely riffed on Silver John with a character. Like, mine is a motorcycle mystic who rides around with a enchanted black harmonica, but it's me riffing. Like, if you've read any Wellman and you've read any of my Jedediah Coldstream stories, you can definitely see, oh yeah, you were influenced.
Well, that's fine. You've been influenced and you're proud of it. That's all right.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. So my next one, I almost was able to just put this author on the list, but I decided not to. And I did have to. I was kind of debating which book to put on there. So I put Night Runners by Joe R. Lansdale on my list. I don't think it's a book a lot of people have really given a chance. It was one of his first. It might be his first novel. It was real slim. I know that in interviews he said he had a very hard time selling the book. But Night Runners is about a couple who, after after an attack, they decide they've got to get away, and they go out into Texas, out into the rural Texas in some cases, and this gang follows them out follows them, and along the way raises hell and kills people, because this gang is influenced by this creature called the God of Razors, who is the god of all serial killers. I think they describe him, they say he's the god of all sharp things, everything that cuts. And this God of Razors is kind of pushing this gang to follow them and do more and more horrible things. It is not an easy read. If it is one of those books that there's a lot of folks that say, look, if it could be triggering in a lot of ways. It is a brutal read of it's a very fast read. It's very, very mean though. So you got to be in the right frame of mind. Lansdale wrote, he's written so many Southern Gothics and East Texas Gothics that I almost put, like, the Bottoms, for instance, I think is a great.
That's a huge, that gets brought up a lot with Backwoods horror.
Yeah, and the reason I picked Night Runners over the Bottoms is the Bottoms is pretty strictly to me is a crime story, while Night Runners definitely has more of that horror element to it.
Well, and because of the way I did mine, mine are getting, like, because I've been, like, more a fan of them longer, it's all my stuff's getting less and less that messed up. Yeah. But I'm still going with my number one is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. And it's mostly Stephen Gammell's art. why this has stuck with me as long as it has. So many of these stories, I hear the title and I think, oh, that's that picture. Okay. Like spider coming out of the girl's face and where's my golden arm? And yeah.
Yeah, those stories are I actually didn't read them until I was older. I discovered them later in life, but the stories are really good. They're really well done. Um and yeah, it's just and you're right. The art is iconic.
Yep. I was really impressed. It wasn't a great movie, but the way that they interpreted the monsters in the live action that they did was well done. Like they riffed on the art well, I thought.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe I need to. I've only watched it once, but maybe I need to watch it again. I remember liking a lot of it and liking the monster. Uh, so yeah, I might need to check that out again. All right.
All right, what's your last? I think I know it, but let's see
No,
if I'm
you
right.
don't. I
Oh,
guarantee you
you're
can't get this one.
all
You won't
right,
get
all right.
it. So I picked a weird one for my last one, and
Okay.
that is I picked a board game.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have called that one.
So the name of the game is The Hills Rise Wild, and it was published by Pagan Publishing in, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, a long time ago. It was just a little box, and it's a miniature war game. So like Warhammer, picture this, Aaron, if you can, like Warhammer, but the factions at war are like hillbillies that are all looking for the Necronomicon out in the woods. So one group is like the Whately clan from the Dunwich Horror, and one group is a group of hillbilly deep ones, and one group is the Cult of Ezekiel. So it's all these little weird cults, and it's played on a really small mat, and you just go out and it's real fast paced. As soon as like you get out there, you're like, okay, we got to fight and find the Necronomicon. As soon as you get out there and do it, you start rolling dice, and people are blowing up, and people are getting, every monster has its own special ability, and they're blowing each other apart or cutting each other down. The art is really fun. The gameplay is fast. It's fun. You have to cut the miniatures out. They're little paper stand ups, so you have to cut them out and like fold them over and put them together. And I thought for sure this game would be difficult to find at a reasonable price. It seems like it's pretty easy to find and pretty easy to find cheap. But like I said, it was Pagan Publishing, The Hills Rise Wild. It's the game of hillbilly Necronomicon worshippers trying to kill each other, and it's super fun.
Yeah, all right.
I haven't played it in decades, but I loved it so much. My box is just all ripped up to shreds because I've played the game so many times, and so maybe I need to go buy one of those new copies I saw floating around. But it's a lot of fun.
Wow. No, I wouldn't have picked that. You're right. I had
What did you think? What you think I was going to
So
pick?
I totally thought it was going to be A Boy's Life.
I almost put A Boy's Life on there. And then I thought to myself, no, I'm going to save it for some other discussion. So.
Well, having talked to you about this before, or that book, Moldsport McMahon, by the way, to anyone that doesn't know what that is, but yeah, this would have been a very long episode if left to your own devices to discuss the book.
Yeah, it is my favorite novel, period. It's such a beautiful book. It's so good. I really did think long and hard about putting Boy's Life on this, but I just recorded another episode recently, and I talked a lot about McCam, and I was like, oh yeah, this story. And so then I thought, well, maybe I'll put Gone South, which was another book that he wrote that has real Southern Gothic elements to it. But no, in the end, I had to keep. I'm saving Boy's Life for another discussion.
Fair enough. It would have made my number 5 because, like I said, I did this from discovered art in the order that I got, or oldest or newest and highest rated. But I thought, well, he's going to talk about it, so I don't want to double dip
I
anywhere.
I thought about it. I thought about it because I love it so much. But I figured it, to me, Boy's Life has a lot of horror elements, but it's less of a horror book and more of this sort of
Oh
magic
yeah,
realism. Magic
yeah,
realism.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's such a interesting subgenre of what
Yeah.
people. So okay, since you didn't include it, I want to ask. I
Yeah.
wondered because I know you're a big fan of Brotherhood of the Wolf, the movie,
Yes, I
and
am.
I
Uh,
was curious. Do you think that is backwoods horror?
I'm a Brotherhood
It
of the
shares some
Wolf
elements
super
on the Venn
fan.
diagram for sure.
Super fan. No, I love that movie. I mean, yeah, what it's definitely, it takes place in a country setting. So sure. I mean, if I were going to just really pigeonhole it, I'm like, okay, that's a historic horror, right? But I don't. I mean, look, it all starts dance. All these things start orbiting and dancing with each other. So why not? Yeah, that Brotherhood of the Wolf is great. All right, that's a. I don't know that it would. It doesn't pop into my head immediately when I think like uh backwoods horror. But sure, why not? I mean, I
Did
mean
you
it.
have any honorable mentions that didn't make the cut?
Um, I mean, there's probably plenty. I didn't write down my list of honorable mentions at the moment. You said you had a couple though, right?
I've got to, yeah, the Eggers the Witch almost made the cut. I really liked any of the flicks that are in the settings that we're talking about that go real light or none at all on music. And the soundtrack is essentially just the wind and the trees and like all the ambient noises. I really dig.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
no, The Witch is great. And that movie is just such a exercise in just oppressive creepiness. It just
it
keeps getting
does.
more and more creepy. So yeah, that movie's awesome.
And then the other one was a recent watch, which was Starbaker, which a lot of people are saying the book is really good too. But
All right. I'm
the
not familiar.
Daniel Cocatello flick with Matt Smith and Morvid Clark,
Okay.
the lady that plays Galadriel in the War of the Rings.
Hmm.
Um, it's a slow burn, but it ended in a place where like basically the folklore involved along with the pacing. I mean, you got to hold in there. And it's a short flick, but it's one of those 90-minute ones where you're like, man, how is it August already? Like it takes a long time to get there, but I dug it. It not obviously not enough to make my top 5, but
No, that's I'll check that out. I'm not familiar with it. Have you seen The Wretched? All right, so you should check out The Wretched then too. I mean, it's definitely. I guess I didn't immediately think of it as like a backwoods horror, but a lot of it takes place in the woods, so why not? But it's about I mean, it's a story of a witch, and this witch has very interesting. There's a very interesting ability that this witch has that allows them to, these to do these insidious things. It's a really good. It's a really good witch story. And she comes out of trees and stuff, which I like. I like anything where a witch comes crawling out of a tree. Uh, so of course I like it.
I'll check it out.
All right. So what are you working on right now?
Sadly, now I want to go work on some backwards horror, but I'm not. I'm working on my latest book in the Herald Earth series, Sorted Deals, and then my comic Yon the Vagabond.
So tell people about Herald Earth. What is
So Herald Earth is a hybrid comic book and novella, not slash novel universe that my oldest friend Daniel Moeller and I have concocted over 30 years and honed and honed and honed until we finally started putting it out. And Herald Earth is essentially the third act of this universe of stories. And basically, aliens defeated the superheroes. Like we start in Act 3. The good guys lost, aliens took over, and the first book starred Jedediah Coldstream, who I talked about earlier, who's my riff on Manly Wade Wellman's Silver John, like John the Balladeer. Him riding around in this post-apocalyptic world on his mystic motorcycle and fighting off creatures that have now risen from the dark, from the ashes that the aliens left of Earth.
Nice. And then Jan the Vagabond, I've written about it in my newsletter because to me it's one of the coolest things that you do. And I've wanted to, I was like, ever since I first saw it, I'm like, I should just try that. Then I'm copying Aaron, but I should try it. So
you should. You draw better, so
talk a little bit about Jan the Vagabond.
So Jan the Vagabond is, in a nutshell, it's Calvin and Hobbes meets heavy metal. Basically, a young, kind-hearted barbarian boy, about 7-8 years old, is out and about, and a sentient evil meteorite crashes to the planet and wants him to tell it to become whatever mystical weapon that he wishes it to become so that they can take over the universe. And he doesn't want to be evil, so he picks a shield. And so now this evil entity that wants to destroy is stuck in a defensive prop. And they basically just wander around.
But and it's a cool setup. But let's make sure folks know you wrote this thing. It's a comic.
It's a comic book, yep. Sunday comic style.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wrote it, draw it,
letter it. Yeah, you do the whole thing, right?
I do everything except for a buddy of mine, Jeremy Mohannon of Bombcast Studios, colors the cover for me.
All right, there you go. It's really cool. It's just a cool project, and I like it. I like it's you. You're like, I'm not gonna wait for somebody else to do this. I'm just gonna do it, and it's kind of neat.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, hey, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for talking about some. I feel like we could probably do this a few times and just talk more and more about all these different backwoods horror elements. But
I agree.
But thanks for joining me today. I had a lot of fun.
Me too.
I got a couple things to check out that I wasn't familiar with, or that I want to check out again. So now I got a busy evening ahead of me.
Me too.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The question we have is backwoods horror scarier with or without a supernatural element? Even if maybe that supernatural element is just something that people talk about. And I think it really just depends on your preference. As in most cases, I usually prefer a little bit of a supernatural angle. I like the idea that there's something out in the woods that may want to do you harm. But I don't care if it manifests, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. I can tell you that I have been personally, and this is a story for another time, I have definitely been out in the woods in some of the most dangerous situations of my life in the dead and dark of night. And of course there was no supernatural element, and it was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. So scary that I just don't want to discuss it right now. If you want to keep up with me or my work, I do a weekly newsletter called Nightmare Fuel that's easy to find and subscribe to. You can get to it from my website, which is cullenbunn.com, and I'm on most social media at Cullen Bunn. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, forward it to your friends and enemies. That's all we have today, though, so until next time, see you soon.